Have you ever been in a conversation where everyone started out agreeing on a topic, perhaps a political issue or even just a movie review, and by the end, everyone felt even more strongly about their initial opinion? It's as if the group discussion didn't just affirm beliefs, but intensified them, pushing everyone to a more extreme position than they began with. This common human experience isn't just a coincidence. It's a powerful and well-studied psychological phenomenon known as group polarization. In simple terms, it's what happens when a group of like-minded individuals discusses an issue, and their collective attitudes and opinions shift toward a more extreme version of their initial leanings. It's not about finding a middle ground, it's about pushing further to the edges. Today, we're going to explore what research tells us about why this happens, how it impacts our world, and perhaps how we can navigate its effects in our daily lives. The story of understanding group polarization really began back in the early 1960s with a fascinating observation by a researcher named James Stoner. He noticed something unexpected. When groups were asked to make decisions involving risk, they often made riskier choices than any individual in the group would have made alone. This was dubbed the risky shift. Think about a group of friends deciding on an adventurous trip. They might collectively agree to something far more daring than any single person would have opted for solo. But the story didn't end there. Subsequent research, building on Stoner's work by other pioneers like Marvin Zuckerman-Wallach, Norman Cogan, and Daryl Bem, soon revealed that groups didn't always shift towards risk. Sometimes they became even more cautious. This broader phenomenon, where group interaction led to any shift in individual choices, whether towards greater risk or greater caution, became known as choice shift. It wasn't until 1969 that psychologists Serge Moscovici and Marisa Zavalloni introduced the term group polarization. This term perfectly captured the essence. The group's shared attitudes weren't just shifting, they were becoming more intense, polarizing towards one end of the spectrum. It's important to note that group polarization is distinct from groupthink, which is when a desire for harmony within a group leads to irrational or dysfunctional decision-making. While they can be related, polarization specifically focuses on the intensification of opinions, explaining why groups might take actions that individuals within them wouldn't typically undertake alone. So, why does this happen? What are the engines driving the shift towards extremism within a group? Research points to two primary explanations that often work hand in hand. The first is called the persuasive argument theory, also known as informational influence. Imagine you and your friends are discussing a new health trend. If everyone in the group already leans positively towards it, during your discussion, you're likely to hear many more arguments and pieces of information supporting that trend. Each new argument, each additional fact or anecdote, acts like another brick in a wall, strengthening your existing opinion. You're exposed to a greater number of novel reasons that bolster your initial viewpoint, leading to a more robust and extreme endorsement of that position. It's not about being forced to agree, it's about being convinced by the sheer weight of confirming evidence within the group.
The second major explanation is the social comparison theory, or normative social influence. This theory highlights our inherent human desire to fit in and be perceived favorably by others in our group. When we discuss an issue, we naturally compare our opinions with those around us. If we perceive that the group is leaning in a certain direction, we might subtly adjust our own stated position to be slightly more extreme, aiming to be seen as an exemplary or good group member. We want to show loyalty, demonstrate conviction, and affirm our belonging. It's like a friendly competition where everyone tries to be just a little bit more aligned, a little more passionate than the next person, inadvertently pushing the entire group's stance further along. Other theories, like social identity theory, also play a role, emphasizing how identifying strongly with a group makes us more likely to conform to and even exaggerate the norms of that group. Group polarization isn't just an interesting psychological concept, it's a trending topic because of its pervasive and often concerning impact across nearly every aspect of our modern lives. It's particularly evident with the rise of digital communication. Consider politics and law. Mock jury studies have shown that after deliberation, jurors' awards for punitive damages often become more extreme than their initial individual assessments. In the political sphere, discussions within like-minded groups can solidify and even radicalize views, influencing policymaking and deepening partisan divides. Perhaps the most striking contemporary application is in online behavior and social media. Platforms like Facebook and Twitter, with their algorithms that tend to show us more of what we already engage with, become powerful echo chambers. Within these digital spaces, like-minded individuals reinforce each other's views, creating environments where diverse perspectives are scarce. Legal scholar Cass Sunstein has extensively highlighted how this contributes to the fragmentation of the online public sphere, accelerating opinion radicalization and, unfortunately, the spread of misinformation. When everyone you follow thinks the same way, your own opinions can become dangerously entrenched. Beyond the digital world, group polarization affects finance and business, influencing investment choices and corporate decisions. It also plays a significant role in social interactions and conflict, strengthening commitments within religious or political affiliations. On a more troubling note, it can exacerbate ethnic conflict, wartime polarization, and large-scale intergroup conflicts by intensely enhancing identification with one's own group and hostility towards others. While these theories and applications are quite clear, research continues to refine our understanding. There's an ongoing debate about the precise mechanisms. For instance, under what conditions does persuasive argument theory have a stronger effect than social comparison? Researchers also question whether polarization leads to genuine shift in core beliefs or primarily influences the confidence and public expression of those beliefs, especially when individuals feel a strong need to signal group loyalty. These nuances highlight the complexity of human interaction. It's important to acknowledge that while group polarization is often linked to negative consequences like radicalization, it isn't inherently bad. In some contexts, it can have positive effects, such as strengthening commitment within beneficial groups. Think about a support group solidifying positive health habits, or a community action group reinforcing its dedication to a noble cause. However, its potential for negative impacts, especially in a world grappling with division and misinformation, is generally considered more prevalent.
Understanding group polarization is an essential step towards navigating our increasingly interconnected, yet often fragmented world. It reminds us that our opinions aren't just formed in isolation. They are deeply shaped by the groups we belong to and the discussions we have. So, what's the takeaway for us? Awareness is the first step. When you find yourself in a group discussion, especially with like-minded individuals, simply being aware of the potential for group polarization can make a difference. It encourages us to pause, to critically examine why our opinions might be intensifying, and to consider actively seeking out diverse perspectives, even if uncomfortable. It invites us to be mindful of our own tendencies to want to fit in or to be persuaded by the sheer volume of arguments, fostering a more balanced and thoughtful approach to our beliefs. By understanding the subtle yet powerful forces at play when we gather in groups, we can become more discerning participants in our communities, both online and off, moving towards more nuanced understanding rather than unintended extremism.